Hey everyone, welcome back to Infinite Binge. We are watching Stranger Things Season 2 this week, or this episode. We are talking about Chapter 2, Trick or Treat Freak. I'm Jake, and who else is here?
Kevin.
And Andrew. Oh man, this is starting to get some extra information in here.
I gotta admit, this show is kind of hard to do the way we're doing it, where we are watching an episode and then recording this. It's really hard not to just sit there and just watch them all back to back.
Yeah,
It's easy. It's easy.
They all end in cliffhangers.
Kevin has the he's like a monk. He doesn't get temptation.
I watched Lost.
Oh yeah, but you probably watched it like as it aired.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't have them all.
So I know what it's like to wait.
We watched the Twin Peaks.
Yeah, well, that was years that we had to wait.
Yeah, 25 years. Let's just jump right in. It starts out with a flashback with Elle, with the goodbye Mike scene. It showed her waking upside down of the school. She's scared and searching for Mike, but she finds a little portal back to the real world. And I remember she looked in and there was like lights shining through, so she like hid for a minute, but then she used her powers to enlarge the hole, and then she walked through. And then she walked over to Mike's house to see all of the government guys there, and they're all just kind of trying to keep everything hush hush.
Well, this is where that whole Russia conspiracy comes in, because you kind of hear them mention Russians a little bit, and then idiot Ted is like, yeah, whatever for my country or something. So
We're all patriots here.
yeah, we're all patriots here. That's what it was. Yeah.
I hope I hope whoever wrote that line could hear me roll my eyes from here.
And then he did the salute.
Oh yeah.
Ted's the secret best character, guys.
Nope.
No, he's
Nope.
like the absolute worst.
He's
Not the
secret
worst.
best.
Almost the worst.
I mean, and the actor does such a good job of it. But it's
Yeah.
just he's written poorly and like intentionally. Just the kind of the prototypical, stereotypical 80s dad.
Yeah.
You could replace him with a mannequin and no one would notice.
Maybe they did and we didn't notice. So yeah, the government guys are talking to the Wheelers, and they sit Mike down and they're like, "Hey, if you see 11, you're gonna have to tell us." And he's like, "No, I'm not gonna tell you anything. You guys are idiots." And then he's kind of like staring out the window, and then they think they see something. And they go search around outside the house, but Elle's gone because she was like staring in the window.
Yeah, and she's kind of all frightened and alone. She's out on her own, which
Yep.
in kind of in late autumn, mid to late autumn, it can get cold.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So then, yeah, it kind of cuts to, I don't want to call it the shack, but I don't know, it's not, it's kind of shabby.
It's the cabin in the woods.
Yeah. But with Elle and Hopper, and Elle dresses up as a ghost and she startles Hopper. And to be honest, she startled me a little bit.
I'm surprised that Hopper didn't pull out a gun again, because every time he gets spooked, he pulls out a gun.
And screw you. But yeah, so Elle wants to go trick or treating, but Hopper kind of just doesn't want any part of it. He says that it's a risk, and risks are stupid, and we are not stupid. So they come up with a compromise, and Elle doesn't know what a compromise is. So I really like the way that Hopper explains it very succinctly and calls it halfway happy. And then
That's a good way of putting it.
yeah, it's just kind of a a really good way of describing it. But yeah, so he says they'll be back by 5:15.
515?
5:15. When she said that took me a minute to figure out what she meant.
Yeah, it took me a second too. I was like, "Oh wait, 5:50." Okay.
And then from there, it cuts to the Googers. It cuts to Will, and his mom's freaking out because he's not in his bed, and it's kind of a recreation of the scene from the opening, the very first episode of the show. And she's like freaking around, like, Will, and then she opens the bathroom, and he's just standing there, and she's like, "What are you doing?" Peeing. But then it's all of them in their costumes, and it's cycling through their families, or their mom specifically taking pictures of him. And I will say, I laughed quite hard at the part with Lucas's mom, because his sister's like, "Oh, you're a nerd," and then his mother's just like, "Don't be mean to him," and she's like, "That's why you only hang around with boys," or something like that. I don't know. It was pretty funny. I had a good laugh at that. But yeah, then cuts to them all showing up at school, all dressed up in their Ghostbusters outfits, and then so I guess Will is Egon, Dustin is Ray, and Lucas and Mike are Venkman, which of course argue about, and then Lucas brings up a point because he didn't want to be, or he wanted to be Venkman, and so he brings up the point that why he's, or that what he shouldn't be because he's black, basically. And so then they're arguing, and Dustin points out, "Hey, we're the only people in costumes." And then it cuts to them walking through the school, and everyone just laughing at them, basically, because they're the only ones in costume.
Sounds like they're the only cool ones to me.
They were good costumes.
Yeah, they were.
For 1984, homemade costumes, that was pretty solid.
Yeah. Very solid.
A working trap.
Yes.
Voila.
That goes back to Joyce. She's talking to Hopper about Will and the drawing. Basically, she's like saying it's like this area right here. It was like a perfect recreation, but with a giant monster.
He is quite a good drawer.
He's pretty good when he's not shooting cabbages. It's a callback to the first season.
Oh, yes, the cabbages. Yes, sorry. Took me a second there.
Was this also the scene where they were talking about, like, when they were in school together?
That was a little bit later.
Or was it?
Was later?
Yeah, because it's them here, and then it cuts to a couple other things, and then it goes back to them, and we'll just talk about where they're sitting at the table, and then Hopper's smoking, and Joyce wants to take a drag, basically. And she coughs a little bit, and then they're reminiscing about apparently they were good friends back in high school or something.
Which probably would explain a little bit about why he's not super into the fact that she's dating Bob,
the high school nerd.
So you don't think he's still seeing the librarian?
Probably not. Maybe.
Oh my god. I don't know that he's called her back ever.
Yep, we don't know.
No, I think we do know that he didn't.
He's been busy with some things. But then they talk about how that nothing's going to be back to the way it was, but it'll get better.
I think that's true of a lot of things that, when people go through trauma. I think that's just generally true.
Yep, it is. That goes back to the DOE. They send someone through to replace, a battery or something.
Yeah, it looked like some sort of part. It looked it was it's barbecued. Anyone hungry? And I'm like, oh my god, that's terrible jokes.
Yeah, so you see them actually bring a camera through to the upside down this time. You think they would have done that before, but they are idiots.
Yeah, well, and then so it explains the whole lights on the board flashing and stuff.
Yeah, you thought it was some big major problem.
Yeah,
in the last episode. Turns out no, it was just a little fried battery, and that's fixed.
So what was it? That was just a couple of satellite things or satellite dishes. It looked like.
Or it looked like it was some sort of
something.
It looked like it was some sort of observation station.
Yeah, they replaced that though, and then it was back to normal.
So then we get to see Nancy and Steve. They're studying in the library. And then Nancy thinks that she sees Barb. It's just, a girl with short red hair, facing away from her. And you can really kind of tell that the guilt of everything is eating her up. Where she talks to Steve about how basically kind of what we discussed in the previous episode, where her family is willing to go into all this financial ruin, for lack of a better word, to continue to look for her when they know the truth. And then Steve tries to kind of comfort her, and what he really wants to do is he wants to get her mind off of things and go to this Halloween party. And then Lucas and Dustin, they approach Max about trick or treating. This is kind of where they are showing off their costumes and everything, and Max basically is like, I didn't know it was such an honor to go trick or treating with you, and it's like, don't you think that's a little presumptuous? And then Dustin doesn't know what presumptuous means.
So he goes, "Yeah, it is. It is presumptuous."
Oh yeah, he was like, "Yeah, totally."
I cannot believe that. I can't believe how, like, that kid is smart in specific ways, but then he obviously does not pay attention in English class.
Yeah, well, and then that whole exchange with, well, one-way exchange with him and Lucas afterwards, because he's like, wait, what does presumptuous mean? What is and he's like chasing him down the hallway.
Is it
Lucas
bad?
He's just like,
is it bad?
Son of a bitch, because he's like basically just ignoring him.
Like, I have never felt like a single character as much as I feel like Dustin in a lot of this show. It's just
Dustin's great.
I feel like he's so I think that's probably partially why he's my favorite character on the show. But it's just like I was this kid.
But yeah, I think from there it cuts to Elle watching TV, flipping through the stations, and in the first episode, so they show on the movie theater marquee, Terminator's playing, and then in this episode, while she's flipping through the channels, they have a little clip of the Terminator TV spot, which
Arnold
is cool.
Schwarzenegger is the Terminator.
Yeah, no, that was pretty great. And then
that kind of made me want to watch the Terminator.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I had the same thought where I was like, yeah, I haven't seen that in a few years. I should go watch that.
I should watch Terminator.
Yeah. Terminator 1 or Terminator 2?
Terminator 1.
Well, 1, and then if you're gonna watch 1, then you might as well watch 2 right after it.
Yeah, but you stop after Terminator 2, right?
What do you mean they only made 2?
Okay.
And then they made the Christian Bale one.
You watched the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Oh.
Binge those.
Tangent. What a fantastic show. Canceled.
Oh yeah.
Far too
Gone
soon.
too soon.
That show was great.
It was. But anyways, back to this show that is definitely not canceled. It cuts to her going to a soap opera, and then because she doesn't interact with anyone other than Hopper now, so she's trying to emulate emotions that she sees on the TV of some love scene on some soap opera, and then she hears a squirrel outside, and she goes and she hears a noise and sees it's a squirrel on the bird feeder, and then flashback to her when she was alone and hunting, or it shows her hunting using her mind, which mind powers for hunting. It's a little bit of cheating.
I mean, she had to eat.
She did have to eat, but
did she use her mind to start the fire too?
That I would assume so. I don't know how she would have started that. But yeah, so
matches.
Yeah, well, maybe. But yeah, cooking up squirrel, and then some hunter comes out, and he's like, "Are you okay?" Asking her some questions, and then she lifts the flaming log out of the fire and flings it with her mind at his head and just knocks him out cold, and just steals his hat and jacket and then runs off.
I'm good now.
It was pretty brutal.
And Eugene's pumpkins are dead now, guys.
Everyone's pumpkins are dead.
Not just Eugene's, everyone's pumpkins are dead. Someone really hates these pumpkins.
I feel like there's a joke in there.
Yeah, I was trying to make it. It was a bit
He
of a
hates
stretch.
these pumpkins.
Max was late again. Billy indicates that it's her fault that they're stuck in Indiana. And then you say he acts like he's going to run over the Googers. I think he was going to run over the Googers.
He was going to. To what we were saying before, Ted is not the worst character. This older brother
He's the worst.
seems to be the worst character. Things may change.
Max saves their lives when she pulled the wheel.
Yeah.
She saved the lives of all of them.
Just again, another quick tangent. Those Camaros are super slow.
So it wouldn't have been able to do any damage to him.
It would
What are you
have,
saying?
but
It's
I
too
mean,
slow?
I just hate those bad car things in movies and shows. But anyways,
So it cuts back to Hopper, and he's checking out the pumpkins, and he's making sure they're dead.
Guess
And
what?
They're
They're
dead.
dead.
oh, they're dead.
And then he finds a tree, and he like sticks his hand in it. It comes out all slimy.
Yeah.
And then he gets on like the walkie-talkie, and he's like telling his deputy, saying, "Hey, don't touch the stuff with your hands. We don't know what it is." And in
This,
the
of
background,
course-
you see the other guy touching the stuff with his hands instantly.
Oh man, it's just those two. I'm trying to think of the appropriate term for those two cops, and
They're Simpsons cops.
yeah, they are. Well, but they're both Wiggum.
Kinda, yeah.
It's just like they're both. I feel like because
They're
they're the
not
two.
that bad.
They're. I mean, if one of them was eating donuts off of a pistol, I wouldn't. Especially that white cop is dumb as. Like he is Wiggum.
Yeah.
I feel like the other.
I'll give you that one.
I feel like I wish I knew their names. I feel like the black cop. He's good. He's definitely better, but I think his
They
his
don't
give
take
a crap
anything
is low.
seriously.
Yeah, but I think his give a crap is kind of low. Like he's a little bit too no nonsense about some of this stuff. Like if they ever tried to bring him into the fold, I don't think he would be able to deal with it. So Will doesn't like that Jonathan is coming with him to go trick or treating, but kind of at the last minute, Jonathan decides to let Will go on his own. And like Bob had let Will and Jonathan take the video camera with them.
I
hope it
doesn't suck.
Oh God! No, I take it back. He's the worst character in this show with those dad jokes. So, so Will goes on his own. He's going to pick him. Jonathan's going to pick him up at 9. Then Jonathan decides that he's going to go get sheet-faced. And when he gets there, or before he gets there, they cut to it, and Billy is the new keg king. And Nancy decides that now is the appropriate time to just start drinking everything.
Oh yeah, party time.
When they were saying that Billy was the new keg king, he got it right into Steve's face.
Yeah, because I think Steve was the old keg king.
Yeah, and Steve didn't really seem to care.
Steve's turned around. He's a good man now. He's a nice young man.
I'm glad you've done a 180 on Steve.
Well, let's be real. He has he not?
Well, it was always his friends. His friends were the problem.
Yeah.
He was hanging around with the bad crowd.
But could you imagine season 1, episode 2, Steve? If somebody came up to him and did that, he'd go, hold my cup, and then he would try and one-up him.
Yep. Or his friends would egg him on and like kind of push him and say, "You gonna take that?
You gonna let him be the keg king?"
Yeah. But as they're partying, it then does cut back to Vampire Bob. And he throws on some nice Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers. You know, tries to get Joyce up and dancing, but she's just still, you know, just really worried about Will and stuff. And then, you know, they're kind of doing that, and Bob brings up maybe moving to Maine. And confirmed Radio Shack. He mentions if moving up to Maine that there's a Radio Shack right down the road, and he could probably get a job there.
It
I think
sounds like he doesn't own a Radio Shack.
Yeah, just
But it's
works at one.
Well, it sounds like his parents maybe run the Radio Shack in Maine.
Or maybe he's like a manager at one or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And then it cuts to and then their doorbell rings, so he's excited about to go give out candy. He opens the door, and then it cuts back to the Googers, walking away from a house, where what is the lady exterminators? She's like, "Oh, aren't you a bunch of cute little exterminaters?" And then
I mean,
she's not wrong.
well,
They
I know,
exterminate ghosts.
but you know how they are.
I mean, that was kind of the point of Ghostbusters, is that they would turn like the super like scientific job into they were exterminators. That was kind of the problem with the remake.
But then, anyways, food is discussed. They start talking about top 3 candies again, and how Dustin loves Three Musketeers. Everyone else kind of seems to hate him.
I mean, I get where everyone else is coming from. I'm a Snickers guy myself. So, well, Snickers or like peanut butter. But anyway.
I mean, I have a top 3. I don't know about you guys.
Fast break number 1, that's all I'll say.
Peanut butter cups, Twix, and a whatchamacallit.
Oh, man. Like, but you can't get the whatchamacallits in like the snack size, the fun size.
No, you can't.
You can?
No, you can't.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, because that's kind of like, for me, the thing. It's like, what are you likely to get? But at least with like the Reese's cups, you would get like the quote unquote fun size or snack size was usually, they were either the really small ones or the regular size ones. But you would just get one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you would never get whatchamacallits trick-or-treating. I'm just saying, top 3. I put a whatchamacallit up there.
Yeah, I would probably...
Oh, or maybe a caramello.
Oh, man, I've not had a caramello in a long time. What about Rolos?
No.
I prefer the caramello.
Rolos.
The caramel in the Rolos is a little too chewy.
Yeah,
anyways,
no, you're right.
Anyways, then as they're walking away, Max jumps out with a nice Mike Myers mask, and like I couldn't tell, and I meant to look, and then I forgot. That knife for a second looked real. That she was.
Oh
holding.
yeah.
Like it looked like it, and I could be wrong, but I feel like she had a legit huge knife with her, but she scares like the shit out of him. And was it Lucas who screamed? Was that Lucas?
Yes, that was Lucas.
Yeah, and then she makes fun of him because he, quote, screamed like a girl.
It was the 80s, though, so she could have had a real dangerous knife.
Yeah, I know.
her.
That's what I was thinking in my mind. I was like, yeah, but this was the 80s, so maybe she did really have that knife. Because that was a big knife if she did.
I mean, if you were going as a soldier, your dad would give you a gun, right? I'm joking. I'm joking. That wouldn't happen. At least I hope that wouldn't happen. And then it goes back to Hopper, and he gets scared again. Another kid scares him. This one had a gun, a fake gun. And then he realizes that it's past 5:15. Elle's not going to be happy. Or was it the other way around? Did he realize it and then he got scared?
Well, I realized it in my notes when it showed it outside and it was still dark.
Okay.
And then
yeah, I was thinking
it
doesn't get dark at 5:00.
You're pretty close. Not that dark. Not that dark.
But the fact that it's dark means that it's way past.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, because you figured the kids all met up at 7.
That's true. But he's way past.
So he's at least 2 hours overdue.
Yeah. So then he's tries to buy the candy from the kid. He's like, "Hey, kid, give me your candy." And the kid's like, "No." He's like, "How about now?" He offered him $5.
So
and in the 80s, that would buy a lot of candy. Ella's watching Frankenstein in the meantime, and Hopper somehow signals. Like, was that a telegraph?
Yeah,
it was Morse.
It was Morse code, but like the way he was transmitting the Morse code, I think was probably through a telegraph. Like, because how else would he have gotten that to her?
So he has a telegraph line going to that cabin in the woods?
No, I think it's wireless. It's got to be wireless.
Yeah.
So yeah, he signals that he's going to be late, and then Elle flashbacks to walking in the snow, and that's when she finds the food and Eggos that Hopper leaves for her at the end of the first season.
This this left me with more questions.
Like, how did he know to leave it there?
Yeah.
Yeah, why was he? Well, actually, never mind. It makes sense just if you just think about it, because the hunter probably went to the cops and said, "Hey, some kid floated a log at my head."
Yeah, true.
Okay, yeah, I'll give it.
I
I'll
wonder,
give
that was probably even mentioned in the first episode, too.
Yeah, when
Brett Gelman is
Yeah.
Brett
talking to
Gelman
him.
was in there.
So, kind of cut back to the trick or treating, and Lucas and Dustin are trying their best to appear cool and hip and with it. And they
By
use
acting like surfer dudes.
yeah, it's like totally tubular.
No, it's totally tubular.
No, it's like bruh, I'm like totally tubular.
Yeah, that part was
And
great.
they just keep trying to like one up each other with it. But what is your word for what Mike is being?
Oh, a grumble puss. He's being a huge grumble puss.
But he's not happy about Max being there, and he says that she's ruined the best night of the year.
I think he's ruining the best night of the year.
Yeah, he's by being a what do you call it?
A grumble puss?
There we go. I was trying to see if I could get Kevin to say it one more time.
What, a grumble puss?
Thank you. So Will gets startled and scared and kind of finds himself in the upside down. And then the Thessal Hydra rises. And I'm going to keep calling it that until they call it something different.
I was a little disappointed that it was a smoke monster.
Yeah, this is a little bit too lost for me.
Nah.
But it seems like it's actually more intimidating than the smoke monster from Lost.
Why? Because he doesn't make logging noises?
Well, and you don't wonder if they're dead the whole time. Spoilers for Lost.
Well, that's not really a spoiler for Lost, but
I mean, they're not.
they're not.
That's
No.
a spoiler.
That's a
for not.
spoiler.
But that's a spoiler for Lost.
Anyway, so he kind of Will runs off to kind of hide from the monster, and eventually Mike finds him, and Mike says that he'll get him home. And at that point, Mike asks, Max asks, what's wrong with Will? And Dustin and Lucas kind of look at each other and they, as if to say, sister, do we have a story for you?
Now,
You think they're gonna be mad about the video camera?
well, I just want to mention, so, two things. One, do you think the video camera is in the upside down now? And two, if it is, do you think they're going to find it in a later episode and there's going to be footage of the new monster?
Oh man, that would be such a great way to do that.
So it would turn out that he is actually going to the upside down all these times. Will.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Yeah. I kind of, now that you bring that up, I kind of hope that's what's happening.
Yeah, I do too. That when that happened, because that was my first thought was, wait a sec, so is the camera there or not? You know?
Yeah, because we don't see the camera again. And that the whole time I was saying, well, is it going to capture something? Are they going to get some footage or something?
Or if, never mind. No, that wouldn't work. Never mind.
So the Thistle Hydra is what's killing all the pumpkins, right?
It's got to be.
I
What else
think
could
so.
it be?
Okay. So Jonathan arrives at the party. He gets introduced to Samantha.
And he notices Nancy's getting crunk.
Do you remember the name of the drink she was drinking?
Punch bowl liquor.
Yeah,
I don't know.
she asked the guy what it was, and he said pure fuel.
Oh, pure fuel. Yeah, that's right.
Pure fuel. Yeah, that was great. But yeah, she is trashed.
Yeah, she is.
And then Steve, being good guy, is like, no, you've had too much. And he's like trying to stop her, but, you know, she's drunk, so she doesn't want to stop drinking. And then he spills, well, she's trying to like pull the drink away, spills it all over her nice white outfit there. And then they go.
And everyone at the party stops and looks at her.
Yeah.
I felt like there should have been a record scratch. Like she should have bumped
Right.
into like a record player.
No. What was that? Duran, right? What was playing?
Maybe.
I think so.
Sure.
It just kept on playing in the background.
I've not been as good about keeping notes of what songs are, because they use a lot of music in this, a lot of licensed music.
I think it was Girls on Film playing.
Oh no, yeah, that is right.
Yeah, it was. That is Duran, right then?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Which again, set in the first season, set again for these 2 episodes. What great music. But anyways, they go up to the bathroom, and then drama ensues. She's trying to clean it off, and he's like, it's not coming out. And then she kind of lets loose, and kind of lets everything out about how she feels guilty, and then how everything's bullshit. And she kind of says like, like basically says like, I'm pretending to love you, essentially. And then he's like, what, you don't love me? And then just kind of leaves and storms out, which, a little understandable.
Now they've made Steve a tragic character.
I know, I did feel bad for him, because I was like, oh man, Steve turned it around. He's being like a good boyfriend, and like he's just being a good guy now. He's just a good guy now. Good guy Steve. And then like gets that thrown at him.
This may force him to go back to the dark side.
It might
rejoin the jerk squad
with Billy.
Oh God, let's hope not. That would be awful.
So yeah, Will is trying to explain to Mike what he's been experiencing and seeing. And he explains that it's not the Demogorgon that he saw. And Mike kind of is trying to comfort him a little bit and says that, 11 would understand what's going on. And Mike explains that he still occasionally, he feels like he sees her. And then another cut, which I guess would be to the same house, but Jonathan gets Nancy home and makes sure that she gets into bed. Which I was sitting there thinking, oh my God, they're walking indoors. Her family is totally going to see the fact that she's completely wrecked.
No, that didn't happen.
But that didn't happen at all. Which it's like, well, which made me think, well, maybe these parents really are oblivious.
Well, I was probably reading an upside down newspaper.
They'll know the following morning because she's going to be super hungover.
Yeah, if Jonathan was a real good guy, he would have left a gallon of water and a bottle of aspirin next to her bed.
And a Gatorade. Eat them electrolytes.
You want to close this out, Kevin?
Sure. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Or whoever.
Yes, Kevin, please do.
Kevin?
So yeah, after that, we go back to Hopper. He's back at his cabin, doing his knock. So he's knocking on the door. No response at him, and then he's a little bit like, "Oh, I'm gonna freeze to death," and then you hear the door unlock. So he comes in, makes his way over to the bedroom, and he's apologizing and stuff, trying to get her to come out, and you can kind of hear and see the light from the TV going on, but just other than that, just nothing. And so then he sits on the couch and does one of those, well, I've got all this candy out here. I guess I'm just going to have to eat by myself. Trying to get her to come out, but she's not coming out. Because then it goes to her, just still flipping through channels, and then cuts to like a static channel. Like back in the olden days when you couldn't get signal on something, and it was just like the bars or static going on. And covers her eyes, and she goes into like her other place, and then finds Mike. He's sees him talking into the walkie-talkie, talking to her, quote unquote talking to her. And then I'm not sure if there's any kind of interaction from there, like if she can actually do anything, because she says his name and then he looks up and he's like, L, like almost like he sensed it or heard it, kind of, and then she's like kind of slowly moving her hand like she's gonna touch him, and then he storms off because grumble puss.
Well, this explains why he's a grumble puss.
Well, we know why he's a grumble puss, but it still doesn't detract that
he's being haunted.
He's
Literally.
being haunted. It's like Ghost. But then the final scene, back to Dustin again, and getting home again, getting off his bike, starting to head inside, and back to the trash can. You hear some kind of some moving around and some kind of like animal-ish noise, and he takes out his like proton pack like it's gonna do something. If I was him, I would have booked it.
Like you could poke it in the eye.
I would have ran inside. I would have been like, "What's that?" Nope. Went inside, locked the door. That's that. But nope.
I mean, considering he knows there's things like the Demogorgon running around.
Even if not, like, what if it's like a raccoon or a possum or skunk or something? I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to get rabies or sprayed or whatever. Book it out of there. So he, for some reason, makes his way over, and then takes the lid off. They don't show what it is, and then it just goes, "Holy sh!" and then end credits.
So what do you guys think it is?
I don't know. I think it might be a fake something, but I don't know.
It's a baby Demogorgon.
That's what I thought, but at the same time, it's like maybe they're just trying to trick you and be like, "Oh, we're gonna get everyone at the end of this show or this episode. We're gonna make them think it's something when it's just like a baby cat is gonna be something."
His cat is gonna be in the trash can giving birth to a litter of kittens.
Yeah, or it's more crows or something.
It's a pumpkin.
A rotting pumpkin.
Yeah.
Or it's the camera. The camera found its way into that trash can somehow. So yeah, not too much happened in this episode. Still just moving along. I feel like for some reason we're gonna get hit with some good stuff next episode.
It was entertaining though. It was a like fun episode for the most part.
Yeah, I agree.
Except Grumble Puss.
I mean, we don't really know what's happening this season yet. Whereas last season we knew what was happening because Will got taken in the very opening scene, and then the rest of the season was trying to get Will. And this, they're just dealing with the ramifications of last season until something else pops off, which I feel is going to happen pretty soon. Anything else you guys want to add before I wrap up? All right, thanks for listening. Make sure you like us and subscribe and share us with other people. And also listen to the All Talk podcast where we talk about all the geek stuff and the Geek Box and Comic Conspiracy and Manga Machinations. And we'll see you next time.